The man accused of killing Drew Carey's former fiancée, a well-known therapist named Amy Harwick, is out of jail this morning after posting bond. It comes as a new petition is calling to reform domestic violence laws. Eyewitness News reporter Rachel Brown is live in the Hollywood area with details this morning. Good morning, Rachel. Good morning, Giovanna and Brandy. Yes, the suspect is now out of jail, and now friends and clients of Dr. Amy Harwick are asking lawmakers to provide more protection for victims of domestic violence. Police arrested Gareth Pursehouse, who's 41 years old, and that is Amy Harwick's ex-boyfriend. In this video, you see him in the red shirt. Pursehouse is now out of jail on $2 million bond. Friends say he stalked the sex therapist following their breakup. And early Saturday, police believe he broke into Harwick's Hollywood Hills home and killed her. Court records show she had a restraining order against him, but that it recently expired. Now friends of hers are working to change laws to protect domestic violence victims. I want you guys to take a look at this change.org petition. You can see it already has more than 29,000 signatures. Supporters want to eliminate time restrictions on restraining orders so they only expire upon request. They also want to give victims the power to file a restraining order without having to face the defendant in court. Now, according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 7 women will be stalked in their lifetime and feel at some point that they will be severely harmed.
Were you stalked?
Drew Carey says that he's overcome with grief this morning over the murder of his ex-fiancée, noted sex therapist Amy Harwick.
Why would he be overcome with grief if he ain't with the bimbo no more?
In their life who loves life as much as she did.
Oh, you
Carey
simp.
and Harwick ended their engagement back in 2018, and his show, The Price is Right, is on hiatus right now following this tragedy. Harwick died Saturday after falling from a third-story balcony at her Hollywood Hills home. Her ex-boyfriend, Gareth
Threw her ass
Pursehouse, was
over the
taken into
side.
custody
Damn.
and is accused of murder.
Famous sex therapist pushed to her death in the Hollywood Hills. An ex-boyfriend now accused of her murder.
Tonight, friends and neighbors are reeling over the shocking revelations. Eyewitness News reporter Veronica Miracle is live in the Hollywood Hills with the disturbing new details. Veronica? Mark and Michelle, that suspect is in custody tonight and will soon face a judge, but the fallout over Dr. Amy Harwick's murder here in this Hollywood Hills neighborhood is just beginning. This is the Playa del Rey man accused of pushing an ex-girlfriend off the third-story balcony of her Hollywood Hills home. Police say Gareth Pursehouse murdered famed sex therapist Dr. Amy Harwick this weekend. A man Harwick had a restraining order against until 2 weeks ago when it expired.
He was a stalker. When they broke up, he didn't take it well at all. Do stupid stuff, say stupid stuff. You tell him, move on, dude. Leave him alone. And he wouldn't.
Pursehouse was arrested at his Playa del Rey home. Detectives now learning she'd recently expressed fear about her former boyfriend. But Harwick was most recently connected not to Pursehouse, but to Price is Right host Drew Carey. They were briefly engaged in 2018. In a statement, he reveals he's overcome with grief, even posting on social media saying, "I hope you're lucky."
Why are you overcome with grief about your ex? If my ex died, I'd crack a fart.
Offering relationship advice
Maybe.
online.
I mean, she's not my bimbo anymore, so what do I care?
Tanisha Offray of Shepherd's Door Domestic Violence Resource Center says the system to protect victims is broken.
A lot of these guys are not threatened by that piece of paper. They're not. They will play the system. They'll wait until they have their opportunity, and then they'll do whatever they feel they need to do to seek revenge.
Offray says they do what they can to help victims of domestic violence, but a complete overhaul of the restraining order system is vital.
We believe that education is the key, number one.
Woman, would you take all that fake up and weave off, please? It's obvious you're not attractive.
I just feel like we failed her. The system has failed her.
The system ain't failed her. She failed herself. Oh, God, don't get me started, man.
Meanwhile, we've learned that all of the tapings this week for The Price of Right has been canceled.
Wow. Over one bimbo.
Wendy Williams. hot water again after appearing to make a Price is Right joke about the death of Drew Carey's ex-fiancée, Amy Harwick. Harwick was a popular Hollywood sex and family therapist who died after falling from a balcony following an alleged attack from her ex-boyfriend. She was 38 years old. On Monday, Williams brought up the incident on her talk show, making a comment about Harwick not being killed by Drew Carey, then went on to use Carey's famous "come on down" phrase from The Price is Right. Williams also tilted her head from looking upward down toward the floor, seemingly referencing the fall. In response, her studio audience remained quiet. Drew Carey has since broken his silence about the death of his ex, telling people he has overcome with grief, calling Harwick a positive force in the world. He also said that he and Harwick, quote, had a love that people are lucky to have once in a lifetime. Carey proposed to Harwick in January of 2018. The couple ended their engagement later that year.
She only got with him for the status, but we'll get to that. The power of pussy. Isn't it incredible? So powerful that it's going to shut down a show that this bimbo wasn't even a member of. She wasn't even cast on The Price is Right. That's Drew Carey's bid. And yet somehow, because she died and she's his ex, going on 2 years, they're going to shut down The Price is Right in her honor because he claims to be so distraught by a woman who was probably gold digging off of him anyway and just dating him for status, knowing full well if Drew Carey's goofy looking behind didn't have celebrity and money, this type of bimbo wouldn't have been with him to begin with. But before we even get started on this issue, I have another video to share with you guys, which is, as we speak, now down available in the link in the description box. This is another video that I produced quite a while ago, maybe late September or sometime in October of last year. It's just another one of those really pathetic cases in the black zone of social media, particularly here on ScrewTube, that just reminds you why black people as a collective are so far behind the bell curve, so to speak, when it comes to making advancements in modern society, and why we're so dependent on everyone else. While, and I spoke about this before, while, the white man is having trade wars and brushing up against, the brink of real war with Iran and, the Arabs and the Orientals, Negroes are on here like 16-year-old kids swatting and doxing each other on the internet. Now, if you have been following me for any extended period of time, you've heard me mention a couple of times, indirectly and directly, this Taz character, who appears to be this loudmouth B1, aka pro-black fraud, one of these hood urchin type Negroes, one of these ghetto philosophers that he constantly gets into it with the likes of Obsidian. I saw him in a yelling match on one of Tommy Sotomayor's live streams a few months back, and he's vehemently caping for what I believe Obsidian first termed as the sisterhood of failure. Of course, we know Obsidian has been compromised himself, but that's something that we've already covered. But, Taz is just this goofball Negro that, he just thinks that if he gets loud and crass and verbally aggressive, he's one of these Negroes that reasons like a female. He thinks that creating enough chaos and enough noise is somehow going to get his point across. If he, and black females are particularly bad with this, and so are their male degenerate spawn like Taz. They believe that, if they agitate people enough, they're going to get their way, you know. And so, I've made it clear what I think about Taz. I think the guy is, just a lowbrow, goofy, and I mean, I really don't think much about him. He's just another obstacle in the way of free thinking black men. However, it recently information came out that some other Negro had doxed Taz and what is assumably his wife, Nyla says, I believe, and looked up and found their mug shots and their criminal records, and put it all over ScrewTube. And this is something that has been going on for years. I remember when I was into it with Reba Woods. For those of you who know who that is, I started to say her YouTube name, but then I thought again that might not be a good idea. But when I was getting into it with her, and I believe there were some people, I know who a few of them were, that were doxing her, and then some of the fools that followed her, including Sansaray, doxed one of the people that mingles in the black sector of ScrewTube. And this silliness has been going on for years, and I never did quite, I've gotten a hot head about, and I've gotten into heated back and forths with people on certain issues. Not that I do a lot of arguing with the fools, but I will speak my opinion on certain stuff and people that I disagree with. But it has never, even before y'all knew me, when I would get in flame wars of comment sections of videos under a completely different screen name, it never occurred to me, even once, to look up somebody's personal information. I even thought about meeting up. I'm talking about when I was younger and more immature. I even thought about meeting up and fighting some motherfuckers, on ScrewTube. But I never once thought about putting their personal information, about their family, their children. I mean, that is just, it's one of the, it's not only petty, it's really, it really shows the childlike mentality of a lot of these Negroes, that you feel like you have to expose personal real life information about somebody just because your butt hurt about something that they say, or just because you got into a heated argument with them. I mean, so anyway, in this video, this video ain't really about that, so I'm not going to get into that here. But in this video that is available on BitChute and FS Avenger, the link to the FS Avenger video is down in the description box. I discussed this very real problem topic of Negroes that, act like, you have 50-year-olds acting like fucking 5-year-olds, illegally in some cases, in other cases legally exposing people's personal information. I remember when Sansaray and Reba Woods tried to do that to me, but I don't have a digital footprint outside of the videos that I upload and blogs that I write. So, them idiot bimbos, they they blew a lot of hot air, and they got a return on nothing for their efforts. So, and they didn't have nothing to say after that. But, I've actually been doxxed by some people, and not all of them were black. Well before y'all knew me, I got doxxed 3 times. Well, one time my hard drive actually got hacked, and 2 other times I got doxxed. It was a form of doxing. And it never occurred to me to dox the person back, not because I didn't want to, give them more than a piece of my mind, but just because, my mind doesn't stoop that low. I'm not that lowbrow. I'm not that scum. So, in this video, I basically explain, it's kind of like a in defense of Taz and Nyla says, even though I think they're both idiots and clowns, they still don't deserve to have their personal information exposed like that. Just very unnecessary, but that just shows you, where the mentality of Negroes are again. Where white men are having trade wars and real wars, jockeying for their position, to control the world. Nobody really sees us as a threat because we're too busy attacking each other, doing dumb shit like doxing and swatting, like, a bunch of fucking video game geeks over dumb shit. It's not even over, serious issues like somebody owes you money or something like that, or somebody was banging your wife. Just over simple fucking disagreements, about so-called pro-black issues and black women's and shit they be protected and called queens and stupid shit like that. But again, that just lets you know where the mentality of Negroes are. Anyway, I shouldn't even told y'all that much, because this is kind of like a commentary within a commentary now. But anyway, yeah, if you want, go check that video out. It's available in the description box, and it should also be in the pinned post at the very top of the comment wall. Thank you.
Skill number 1, communication and negotiation. Typically, in the BDSM community, you communicate what you're looking to do, what your boundaries are, your hard nose, the things you gotta have, and you talk about this before you do what they call a scene or any type of interaction. So imagine if we did that in other areas of our lives. Hey, before we hook up, like, I'm not into this, don't do this, here are my boundaries, and then you proceed. And imagine those things are respected. It just does not happen as much with things outside of that community. And negotiation, what are you willing to do to me? What do I want to do to you? Verbal negotiation of what you want and what's about to go down. So one way that you can do that is to make a yes, no, maybe list with your partner. You can find guidelines and PDF files online. Just Google yes, no, maybe list. Lots of good templates out there. A yes, no, maybe list is going over all of these types of behaviors. It could be everything from kissing and PDA to, spanking, choking, spitting, or whatever. Skill number 1, communication and negotiation. Typically, in the BDSM community, you communicate what you're looking to do, what you're...
So, longer story short, I got wind of this yesterday through the news articles that were talking about the controversy with TV host Wendy Williams making jokes about this Amy Harwick's death. And, I don't know if it was just a harmless joke that, was interpreted the wrong way, or if it was one of those episodes, a Paris Milan moment where Wendy Williams was just showing her jealousy for a white woman who obviously looks better than her by light years. And I do mean light years. We know that there's an overabundance of black female, not just jealousy, but obsession with white women who 9 times out of 10 aren't thinking about them in the same manner. Okay, but that wasn't the angle of this that I wanted to address. Once I got wind of this woman's death, because I didn't know anything about it until I heard about the Wendy Williams joke controversy, I looked up some stuff on it. Obviously I found out that this was Drew Carey's ex-fling, aka fiance. They broke up in 2018, and she calls herself a sex therapist. She got her doctorate, from what I understand, she got a bachelor of a PhD or something in the arts of psychology, whatever the hell that means. And she has a PhD in the arts of psychiatry. I didn't even know that you could get a degree in arts in psychology and psychiatry. I didn't even know those were related like that. But whatever. I don't think that it's a serious degree. Those of you who have PhDs, maybe you can explain that one to me. But anyway, this is just one of those moments, this one of those perfect examples that I've been trying to explain to black men, when I say that, a lot of these white bimbos are not that much different. They're not that much far removed from these black bimbos. They're just as silly. They're just as materialistic. They're just as hypocritical. And, a lot of times, they're just as promiscuous, and they're just as feminist. Of course, we know the feminism movement started with white women in the late 1960s. But as you recall, I recently made a poll on the YouTube community post section for those of you who follow me over there. And I asked very clearly, why does hashtag Me Too and its organizers and activists not go after men in industries that obviously are designed and have been designed since their inception to specifically sexually exploit women for the sole purpose of, benefiting through profit? If hashtag Me Too really wanted to shut perverted men down that target women for sexual exploitation, it would be more than abundantly clear that one of the first industries they would go after is the porn industry, and they would go after it hard. Okay? And, preceding related industries like, strip clubs, adult magazines like Hustlers and Playboy. Hugh Hefner, when he was still alive, they would go after figures like that. They would certainly go after the likes of ghetto gaggers that clearly abuse women. They'd go after that entire fucking production company, Duke Dollars. They'd go after that entire production company, and its CEO, aka Duke Skywalker. They would go after Hooters, the restaurant franchise that requires. You have to think about this for a second, okay? In the era of hashtag Me Too, not only have we not heard shit from these females, and I'm talking about the white ones too, on ghetto gaggers or the porn industry, we haven't heard shit from them about, magazines like Sports Illustrated. It's supposed to be about sports, but it always has some bimbo in a fucking swimsuit that has nothing to do with sports. We haven't heard from them, in relation to other magazines that exploit women's sexuality like Maxim and FHM. We've heard crickets from them in relation to the restaurant franchise Hooters that actually requires females to dress in skimpy clothing, exposing their breasts for the sole pleasure of male customers. This isn't even, I could see if this was a strip club. This is a restaurant franchise. When they pay their taxes, okay, they're labeled as a food, a food or a restaurant corporation. Okay, they serve food and they serve alcohol. Yet they have been exploiting young girls with, these tight boob shirts for decades. You hear crickets from hashtag Me Too. You hear crickets from these feminists. And this is something that, especially since hashtag Me Too reactivated and kicked off in 2017, I've been pondering myself. And I finally wound up popping the question, and I gave several options for answers, and it seemed to be the leading assumption by most men, and rightfully so, is that these hypocrite femtards, they, like Alyssa Milano, who told this stupid bimbo, told women to go to take their vaginas and go on strike because of new abortion laws tightening in several different states. It appears that the reason why these feminists are so quiet on industries that obviously exploit women, that obviously sexually abuse women, is because they want to continue to profiteer and gain status off of whoredom and their sexuality. See, females like this Amy Hardwick woman, okay, who obviously was not a doctor. We know what happened to her. She encountered, and that in and of itself, I'm not blaming the victim here. It is tragic when someone innocent who hasn't hurt anyone themselves, at least not physically. I'm sure she broke a lot of dudes' hearts. I mean, just look at her. Probably Drew Carey's included. But she didn't physically hurt anybody, so she didn't deserve to lose her life. But, this guy that was so obsessed with her, he threw her over a third-story balcony, or in a ensuing struggle, she fell off a balcony, but police believed that he threw her over the balcony, her ex that came after Drew Carey. And they said that this guy was a stalker. He was obsessed with her. Now, we've talked about this a lot with black women. But, a lot of you Negroes, y'all want to turn a blind eye to these white women. But I just want to take this opportunity. I mean, look at this chick. I mean, obviously, from a heterosexual standpoint, she was not a bad-looking woman, okay? But she calls herself a doctor. She has a PhD, a LMFT, author of New Sex Bible for Women. And I'm looking at this shit. I mean, I'm looking and I'm scrolling because she has 2 Instagram accounts. And I'm looking at the type of pictures that she's putting up. And I'm thinking, a doctor? A doctor of what? A doctor of what? A doctor of trying to make me get a woody? A doctor of sexually arousing me? See, and you saw the video. I played that video about, where she was talking about, creating boundaries and talking about, what y'all want with each other up front. And again, this is not blaming the victim. This really doesn't have anything, well, it does have something to do somewhat with, what happened to her. But see, the problem that I have with these females that talk about boundaries and all this other stuff, and talk about obsessed men and stalkers, is that they're not creating boundaries for themselves. Okay? They're not creating boundaries for themselves. They're not, creating limits for themselves. They're not drawing lines for themselves and their own sexuality. They put themselves on display like this, okay? And it's obvious. See, these females, these feminists, because that's what they are, they play these games like they're so unassuming, okay? You call yourself a sex therapist, you're dressing like a bimbo, okay, with other bimbos, and what type of things are you trying to attract? Are you really trying to give couples and people advice, like medical and psychological advice? Or are you just doing this to draw attention to yourself? Okay? It's the same, it comes from the same concept, that my poll was derived from. Okay? Why, if these females are so serious about, protecting women's rights and, protecting the lives and well-being of women, okay, why don't they go after these industries? Why don't they put pressure on even these social media giants like Instagram to discourage them to discourage, these females from going on here and digitally prostituting themselves the way that they do? Why do they do that? Why don't they do this? They don't do it because they still enjoy the attention that they get from men in these industries, on these sites, and more importantly, they continue to profiteer and achieve status from this. Okay? This woman, she snagged Drew Carey. She used him. I'm telling you, just looking at this female, she used him for what she could get out of him. And once he was no longer, because I know these shallow-minded, materialistic bimbos like the back of my hand. Okay? She used him for, the resources that she could get from him, and then she kicked him to the curb. I guarantee you she broke up with him. And now he's on here like a simp talking about he's so broken up because of what happened to her. Was she broken up because of what she did to him? See, this is the problem that I have with all of this, hashtag Me Too crap. It's only one-sided, okay? These females, they know what they're doing. They do. They know what they're doing. This woman ain't a doctor of nothing. Well, she's a doctor of something. Well, she was a doctor of something, but we're going to leave that alone, okay, because this is YouTube. But I mean, how do I take you seriously when this is what you want the world to see of you? You call yourself a sex therapist. And she knows, this woman knows, okay? She knows that very terminology, sex therapist, and the way she dolls herself up, just like these black females, she knows the type of people, she knows the type of demographic that she's attracting. Okay? She's not stupid. If this female was a serious doctor, okay, she'd have a sweater on, regular clothes, and she'd be sitting down, interviewing and taking notes of her patients. This woman, she's all about, just like these black females, this bimbo was all about aesthetics. She was all about flaunting her sexuality. I mean, you look at pictures like this, just guess how many simps are in the comment section. She's up against a wall with her legs cracked open. I mean, what? And you talk, and just think, you're making a video talking about giving advice on creating boundaries before people get in a relationship. I mean, it's kind of like a person yelling bomb at an airport and then complaining, trying to file a lawsuit when they get tased and thrown to the ground and put in handcuffs and jumped by like 6 or 7 different, security personnel and airport police. What do you expect? Again, this is not blaming the victim, but it's just like what I told you with, black women, okay? There's an untold story about not just domestic violence, but just, these females, every case where they try to play victim, okay? Every case where they try to play victim, there's always only their side of the story being played by the liberal media. You never hear the whole story unless like in the case with that 14-year-old boy that's accused of stabbing that white girl in New York. Then you hear the other side of the story, where his mama was a thug thot that stabbed a woman in a fight, right? Because it fits the narrative of, oh, well, these animals, they went after and killed this precious white girl. So we gonna look at and expose the mama who, spawned this neighborhood terrorist. Okay? But all other times, black women get to play the victim in the media. Just so long as their neighborhood terrorists are only terrorizing black people. Okay? And, I mean, I can't take somebody like this seriously. I just can't. Here's the thing. These females, they want deniability from being whores. They want deniability. They want to be able to say, I am a good girl, I'm a classy woman, and I demand respect. But they want to continue advertising themselves as just something that a man wants to stick his dick in. And what they don't, either they don't understand it or they don't want to accept it, is that you can't have it both ways. You just can't. Okay? Now, us smarter men, of course we know, let me put it like this. Smarter men know to respect boundaries even when the female is advertising herself as a whore, because, it's just not worth getting caught up with these bimbos playing victim. It's just not worth it. The smartest men, like myself, know fuck boundaries. Just stay away from these whores altogether, okay? Because their pussies and them are just a waste of your fucking time. 9 times out of 10, okay? But if you keep playing with fire, you're gonna get burned, okay? These females, they know the type of dudes that they attract, okay? And in this particular case, this woman, she knows, because she claims to be a sexual therapist for couples and for women. That's bullshit. She knows that most of her audience are going to be thirsty ass men, and particularly thirsty ass white men. Okay? We know, as Marlboro men, those of us who are black Marlboro men, we know that Drew Carey, when you look at this guy, just like we tell black men, she wouldn't even give him a second look if he didn't have celebrity status and money. Okay? I'm telling you, she extracted what she wanted from this dude and she moved on. Females like this, she only got engaged to this dude to get close enough to him to get, the resources that he had and to get some level of status for herself. I saw this one YouTube video where she was on a reality show counseling one of those bed wench Braxton sisters with her white ex, and the Braxton sister was looking salty as hell. It wasn't Tony Braxton, it was another Braxton, but that's a subject for another video. But this Amy Harwick person, she's like a celebrity relationship counselor or something, and she was telling them that it was good, telling the white man and his ex bedwench that it was good that they could get along after their breakup. He was smiling, but the Braxton sister, I forget her name, she was frowning. You could tell she was salty as hell. But this type of female is not the type of female, okay, that gets married to men and has, children. And keep in mind, this woman was 39 years old when she died, okay? You're 39 years old and, admittedly, you still got it, so to speak. I know a lot of that is aesthetics, but, she seemed like she was able to keep herself up pretty nicely, you're still trying to attract dick that you're not married to at 39, almost 40 years old. Okay? So, I mean, we know what these type of females are about. You can't take them seriously. This woman she's not giving nobody advice. It's just another form of I mean, we can name these bimbos all day, every day. Okay? She's just another form of Cardi B, just another form of Cynthia G, Paris Milan, go down the list. She's just another what I call she pimp fraud. Oh yes, they have white ones too. Okay? As a matter of fact, the white women were the originators of the she pimp fraud. Okay? They passed themselves off as pro-black or as a relationship counselor or as a doctor, or as, Zaza Ali, what the fuck was she supposed to be? Some spiritual guide or some shit. They pass themselves off as any of a number of different things. And all they are just the same thing I told y'all in that docuseries that I made. They're just old hoes with new hustles. One person even made a comment on one of her Instagram photos that made a joke about her being a former porn star. And when I looked at this bimbo at first, I was wondering, is she a porn star? Because she kind of what this chick reminds me of. She actually reminds me of that nude model, Dita Von Teese. That's who she looks like, because she's so pale. I don't know if that pale skin of hers is fake up or if that's actually the color of her skin. And I'm not largely attracted to pale skinned white women, but I mean, I will admit, even though again, I know a lot of this is aesthetics, I mean, she was an attractive woman. For 39 years old, she certainly was an attractive woman. As proven with Crystal Swirls, I mean, makeup can only get you, or even Oprah, makeup can only get you so far. Makeup can only get you so far. I mean, past a certain point, there's just no fucking hope. Okay? So, even these females that put on fake up, I mean, whether they be black or white, you still have to have some level of attraction to be good looking after you put that fake up on. Again, anybody who is a professional makeup artist will tell you that fake up, as I call it, only enhances beauty. It doesn't make you beautiful. Okay? So somebody like a Oprah or Crystal and Swirls can put on fake up all they want. You're still going to be ugly. Okay? So, But I mean, as tragic as it is what happened to her, I wish there was a way to make these females just be upfront. Look, I'm just like anybody else. I drain my balls to watching porn. I mean, it's a detestable, disgusting type of job to do. I wouldn't want any daughter or any family member of mine doing it, but just like they say, somebody got to do it. Okay? If you're going to be a whore, be one. But don't be that and then try to tell me that you're not that. Okay? Don't tell me while I'm looking at a red wall that is blue. Okay? Don't tell me that a black crow on the ground is a brown sparrow. Okay? I have eyes. I can see. You're not a doctor. You're not a therapist. You're not a psychiatrist. You're not an advisor. You're an old hoe with a new hustle. And why do I say that? I don't say that because I dislike you. I say that because this is what you are advertising to the world. This is what you are advertising to the men who you're bringing in your life. Okay? This is what you're advertising. If you are advertising yourself as an upstanding, respectable woman, with a degree, that was, I know women like this, like that. I have a primary care doctor that is like that. Dr. Pollard, takes real good care of me. Okay? I look at her, what I see is a professional woman in the medical field. Don't tell me you're a doctor or a therapist when you're obviously a bimbo. A sex therapist? Now, if I'm going to this woman, even as a celebrity man, if I'm going to this woman to get therapy, so to speak, the whole time I'm going to be thinking, while I'm sitting in her office, gee, I wonder if I can get her to, never mind, this is YouTube. But anybody's going to be thinking about that looking at this female. She's not, for almost 40 years old, she got a tight body. She looks good. She knows she looks good. She wants to flaunt her sexuality, but then want me to take her seriously as a doctor. Again, I ask, a doctor of what? What are you a doctor of? Now, I can think of a few things, but I'm not going to say them here on ScrewTube. If this was on FS Avenger, I'd be going hard in the paint. But a doctor of what? Stop fronting. You can't hide what you are. You're advertising yourself. You're advertising yourself as, I don't even want to say it, but I've already said it. You're advertising yourself as a hoe. Okay? That's what you're doing. You're advertising yourself as an online prostitute. Just like the rest of these bimbos. And trying to pass yourself off as a woman with some type of professional career field. Granted, you have the credentials from some knockoff university that you went to. I think Pepperdine University being one of them. Yes, I think they said one of the universities she attended was Pepperdine, for whatever that's worth. But you're not advertising yourself as a woman who wants to help people, including couples. Okay? Or, help people out in their personal lives. You're advertising yourself as someone who wants to make my dick stand up. So don't expect me to look upon you or think about you as anything less. Okay? It's just like the other day, some assistant physician at the clinic that I go to, where I was getting a manometry done, she turns off she's asking me questions about my condition, and then she crosses her legs in these black stockings and high heels, looking at me. Damn woman got her tits busting all out, and yeah, this was a white woman, got her tits busting all out of her that doctor suit that they wear. She got a red blouse on, high heel stockings, and I know what she was doing. I know, because I know these females. She's not necessarily letting me know I can hit it. She's just trying to see if I'm going to take my eyes off her face, and I'm going to look and see if I'm going to look down at her tits or look at her legs. That's why she turned in my direction and crossed her legs, exposing her big ass fucking double D breasts, while she was asking me questions about, my private area. These females know what they're fucking doing. Even the ones in the professional field, they do that shit on purpose. And then when they run into that crazy dude that can't control himself, or they feel dirty, or they see a benefit to play a victim, then all of a sudden, he raped me, he inappropriately touched me, he's stalking me. Well, what else? No, I ain't gonna even say that, because this is YouTube. Never mind. Never mind. But yeah, what do y'all think about this silly shit? Not just this particular case, but just these bimbos across the board. What do you think about this, man? Can you take this woman's... I mean, well, she's dead now. You can't take her seriously as anything. But can you take people like this seriously? I can't take them seriously, bro. That's why I don't deal with these females. Because they're not even real. They can't even be upfront with you about what they're really about. Even when it's obvious what they're about. So how the fuck am I supposed to be serious about what they claim to be about? How can I take them serious if they don't take themselves serious? Talk to you later, guys.